Hello everybody and welcome once again to the Brink. Yes, we are back. We haven't forgotten about you, or have we disappeared from the internet? You're probably thinking, oh well, that was a nice little reboot, only lasted a few episodes, they're buggered off again. But we are actually still here and ready to bring you an action-packed, bumper-packed episode filled with Brinkalicious goodness that will just get you so excited you will burst. It has been 2 weeks since we were last on the air, so we have got a little bit of stuff to catch up on. So therefore we're going to bring you a bit of a special episode that might sound a little bit higgledy-piggledy. You're going to be listening to things going, that makes no sense, they said that, then they said they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and you'll think, what the hell have they been doing? But given it's been a couple of weeks, been on the road, travelled to a variety of different places, you are going to hear from a bunch of different people. We're not really going to have our regular segments in this episode. You're mainly going to hear from people, because I think that's what you want to hear, from people, not just my voice. So in the last couple of weeks, since I have spoken to you, I have travelled right across the states. I've gone from Mexico up through to Atlanta, where I had the pleasure of staying with former Survivor contestant Teresa T-Bird Cooper, competed on Season 3 of Africa, and her husband Glenn. So you're going to be hearing a little bit of snippets from my time with her. Then I was up into Tennessee, the Tri-Cities area, right near the border of Virginia, where I stayed with former Survivor contestant Tanya Vance from Season 5 of Thailand and her husband Todd. We also crossed the border into Virginia, where we went and met up with the great Big Tom Buchanan from Season 3 of Africa and Season 8 of All Stars. You'll hear from him. Then from there it was off to Nashville in Tennessee, where I was basically shared custody between former Survivor contestant, you can see a pattern here, Gretchen Cordy, of course, competed on the very first season of Survivor Borneo back in the year 2000, and her radio co-host Ryan Pluckerman, who also had a bit of a chat with me. I had the pleasure of going on their radio show each morning when I was there in Nashville, and had a lot of fun. And from Nashville it was north to New York City, where I'm currently recording this for you right now. And on that note, you will hear from former Survivor contestant, you guessed I was going there, Billy Garcia from Season 13 of Cook Islands, as well as a bit of a surprise guest who I had basically in meeting her on a plane, and then sharing an Uber ride with her into the city. So you're going to hear a lot. Again, there will be bits and pieces of this episode which may not make sense. I may be promising things that don't actually happen in this episode, but you will enjoy hearing that. And no regular segments this episode. You're just going to hear from the people. So instead of me talking, I'm going to shut up, and you're going to have a brinkaliciously good time. So being here, learning a whole bunch of Southern customs, I guess, and everything else in between. And as I mentioned, of course, staying in the house of a former Survivor. Now, I mentioned before, staying in the house of a celebrity, by many people's eyes, T-Bird is a celebrity. But we were mentioning going out to dinner before. This is the first time in my entire life I've ever been to a restaurant where they've got like a celebrity wall. And, here I am heading out to dinner with somebody who's on the celebrity wall. I would be intrigued to think that, does that not entitle you to some sort of free food or something, or free something, given that you are on that wall up there next to some other big names?
Yeah, well, I guess it didn't work out tonight.
Did you ever use your celebrity back in the day when you were kind of, having T-Bird Cooper Day and all these sort of things and getting the key to the city? Did you ever, try and swindle something out of it?
No.
Not even once?
No. Because Ben, for me, a matter of fact, and I can tell you this story, when I met my husband, who we've been married now almost 5 months, when I met him, I never mentioned anything about Survivor, because it would be like you, when we went tonight, you said, did you point this out to your husband when first time y'all came to eat here? Because he's been there to eat before. And I'm like, no, that would be cheesy. Who would do that?
Did you?
But so when I met Glenn, finally, I don't know how long we had gone out and dated before he finally said it. He asked me about being on the show, because he never watched it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how he had heard about it. I don't even know, because I never mentioned it, because that would be cheesy.
So I don't know if you ever watched Friends, but there was that episode where Joey was he was trying to get his face up on like the wall, and he eventually did, but he wanted it to be positioned because he was taking a girl out to dinner. So he was like, sit me near the table, and he ended up getting there, but the girl just did not pay, because he was trying to, impress her. So, I thought maybe you could have taken Glenn out and been like, oh, look, there's the pitch, trying to impress him, like that.
No, that didn't. And Survivor hadn't impressed him at all. If anything, it's been more of an aggravation, but he's been a trooper as far as second chances, helping with my campaign. He didn't help with the campaign. He ran the whole campaign. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, T-Bird, you didn't get on. But it wasn't, it wasn't because...
The next time he's not running your campaign.
And I was going to say, it wasn't... It wasn't because he didn't work on it. He did everything. Mm-hmm. And a matter of fact, he was probably... Well, I was disappointed. He may have been just about as disappointed as I was because he worked so hard for the 2 weeks to get me out there. So he's been wonderful.
All right, we'll ask Glenn a question over here quickly. Glenn's here. Glenn, welcome to the Brink. First of all, hello.
Hello.
Now, surely that is kind of impressive to be able to go to a restaurant though like that tonight to be like, I'm married to a girl up there on the celebrity wall.
Yeah, but if you know T-Bird the way we all know her, she's not like that. She's not like, hey, look at me. I did this or did that. She's a very genuine person that kind of her actions kind of speak everything, and she cares so much about people. So no, she's very humble.
Totally trying to bigwig you guys up here a bit tonight, but you're very humble down here in the South, aren't you? It's the Southern way.
Yeah, it is a little bit. But, getting back to what you were talking about when we first started dating, she didn't tell me she was on Survivor or any of that, and I kind of discovered that. But she drove this car, and it was painted on both sides. I was on Survivor. And, it was after about 3-4 months, I asked her about that. And she did admit, yes, I was on Survivor.
That's where she's trying to talk herself up to impress you.
Yeah, and inside the house, there's Survivor signs everywhere. So I thought that was a little odd. So I did ask her about that.
And honey, you didn't mention that it was a T-Bird that all the signs are on. The car was a T-Bird.
Yeah. And then literally, you still have the T-Bird, but T-Bird has the T-Bird. So
yes, it's true. She did not tell me, but I did eventually ask her about it.
And had you watched, did you watch Survivor back in the day when she was on? Was it something you did watch?
I saw, I believe, the first 2 seasons, and I guess I lost interest in the show. I don't know.
You saw T-Bird on Africa and thought, no, I don't want to see her.
No, I don't think I think the show lost me before that. Whatever I was into, I don't know.
And have you gone back and watched her since you've been with her?
Oh, yes.
And what did you think?
And actually, since we've been together, I've watched pretty much every episode of every season for the last, I guess, 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and I love the show now. I love it, and certainly love her season too.
Now you've gone and grabbed the DVD.
The way it happened was after we got to know each other after a while that I finally thought I need to pull out the DVD, the Survivor DVD, which I did, and said, honey, when I'm flying, when I'm out of town working, maybe you could watch some of this. Mm-hmm. And so I kept looking and wonder where it was. Finally, I found it. The dog had chewed the whole thing up. Look, he doesn't even know what he's got here. Yeah. One of them was missing. It was locked. It was in actually another machine that he left when he was moving. I had to go find it to keep the collection together. But look at this. It's ripped. The dog chewed the whole thing up.
Now, I don't know if we're going to have time. We might be able to watch a little bit of this tonight once I start recording this, because I really would like to watch at least a little bit of this. You have not watched your season in how long?
Never.
Never.
Since it originally aired at my mom's when we were all sitting around. So you know how you watch it once and you miss things because we were having a party every night?
So you've never... Now, why is that? Why have you not...
I didn't win.
So is that simple? You just can't watch it?
No, that's really not true. Well, I didn't win. That was true, but...
Well, that's true. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it was over, and it was great. I don't know. I'm not sure why.
Well, I think you should hold that in your hand and get disc 1 out to at least watch the opening.
But
of
you
it.
know what, Ben? I know you've talked to people that say they've never watched. Didn't you tell me John Carroll had never? I mean, most people I know have never looked at their stuff.
Well, you're talking about kind of so for people who know who I'm talking about, Kelly Wigglesworth, who was the original runner-up. She lost to Richard Hatch in season 1. Obviously, she's come back and played on Second Chance this season, which T-Bird should have been on. When I interviewed her for the very first time, I think back in 2012, she's literally living on a beach in Mexico, and she said that she didn't even watch her season when it was on and never had, and never watched the show since. And she was one of the most well-known people from the show's history. And I guess kind of from a fan perspective, we just automatically assume you're going to watch yourself on TV and see how it all plays out. But to kind of think that you haven't watched it now in 14 years, that's crazy.
16 years.
16.
Right? 15 years. No, but you know what? It's like this. It's like, have you listened to yourself in a tape recorder. And you
Unfortunately, I have to
for the,
sometimes.
well, okay, but for the first, when you first hear it,
Yeah.
you're like, and then that's it. You don't want to hear it anymore because you it's kind of, I'm sure, the same way. I know you've heard of actresses or actors that have done stuff that says they never look at their work because they're so critical of it. I don't think it's like that, but it's just a weird to see yourself like that.
So is it still strange? And I know obviously from our perspective and what I did with Survivor Oz, obviously, we're contacting, people like you who, as you're saying, haven't really, it's been so long since you've been on the show. Sometimes you're still involved in the fans community and doing things. Sometimes you just move on with your life. That was a great adventure. But is it strange to still have people, maybe not in person, but at least online, reaching out to you and saying, like, I loved you on the show, or, all this and all that, and maybe particularly before Second Chances when you weren't sort of brought back into the spotlight? Did you find that weird for a while, that people were doing that after all this time?
Yeah, Survivor's got such a strong following. It's been so, it's done so well as far as the first big and reality show that stuck. So, it's neat to be a part of the grandfather reality that still is going on. So, yeah, it's neat.
For our non-reality TV fans, our non-Survivor fans out there, and this is a question that I wouldn't generally ask on Survivor Oz probably because it's not really for our listeners, but in terms of like requests, what's like the weirdest request a fan has ever sent for you? Like in terms of, is it something weird to autograph, or can you give my, dog a phone call before you go to sleep because he really likes your accent or something like that?
Gosh. Oh, you know what's going to happen, Ben? Tonight when I'm laying in bed, I'm probably going to nudge Glenn and say, I got it. That's the one it was. But right now, because you put me on the spot to ask me, I can't remember. But I know there's going to be some. Well, I know what. A fan was, this isn't really a request, but a fan I met somewhere, I don't know if it was on the airplane, because I worked with CBS for about 3 years after the series, so it kind of kept it going for me down here in Atlanta. So I met up with somebody that went on and on and on and thought, God, I was the greatest player, and, this and that and this and that. And after this long conversation, I realized she thought I was Tina.
Oh, wow.
Which that happened a lot.
That was a thing. Like people, after Tina won in Australian Outback and season 3 came along, everybody was like, oh, here's the new Tina. Here's a new Tina. So do you go along with that then when people?
Yeah, I do, because I thought, hey, Tina won. I could be compared to much worse.
Yeah.
But it is exactly why when Africa started, after the first second day, Brandon or somebody kept calling me Tina, and I thought it seemed like he was doing it accidentally, really. But I thought, since Tina won, I need to separate myself from her. So right away, I said, just call me T-Bird, since he's going to keep calling me Tina.
Yeah.
So that's really how it was a nickname in college, but that's why I told him to start calling me T-Bird as opposed to Tina.
Now, this might be a question actually that I don't know if I've ever asked you even on Survivor Oz. Where did the T-Bird nickname come from?
Just college. Just
no
college.
particular reason?
No, I can't. I can't remember why.
It just came from and it just stuck.
Yeah, and it just stuck.
Right. Okay. Well, there's no. I thought there might have been a fun story, like you liked birds, or like you had.
No, I got nothing. I got nothing.
No. Nothing. All right.
I got nothing.
You can invent something about that after.
I'll come up with a good one.
Yeah. So just I guess again you're still a flight attendant. You're still flying for Delta. You get to do, sounds very fun, international routes when it comes to Germany. You speak German and all that sort of stuff. So good lifestyle. You enjoy the job still?
I love the job. I've been doing it for over 35 years. And I married Glenn, like I said, 5 months ago. He loves. Did I say loves?
I think you did say love.
He loves to travel, and all the 35 years before I met him, I never traveled other than work. I just didn't have an interest. I wanted to be here on the farm. And then after I met Glenn and his love of travel, he's shown me all over the world, Australia, different places that I never, thought about going to, that he's taken me. So it's been definitely a benefit for both of us and a plus.
Well, you've shown me around your amazing land here as well, and you've been to Australia. Haven't been to Tasmania yet, but I'm sure you'll get there because there's, plenty of things down there to enjoy. But I mean, with the land you've got here and things you got to do on this farm, I sometimes think you wouldn't even want to leave here, would you?
Yeah, it's kind of hard, and it's getting harder because the first 3 years that Glenn and I dated, we did all these different trips together. Now, Glenn started a sheep farm, so he's got a sheep operation going. So now we're so content being home that we kind of have to make ourselves say, hey, why don't we go somewhere or do something? So, yeah, that's a good problem to have, though.
Well, I would happily stay here. You got the cabin on the lake and the little cottage I've been staying in, this beautiful property. 102 years old is this house, I believe?
Yep, it's built in 1914, I think.
That's incredible. It's beautiful. And how many acres is this property?
It's 161 acres.
Just a lazy 161 acres,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's never enough.
Never enough.
You can never have too much land. You know how that goes.
Now, one quick little story that I want to say. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that now. We're going to say that to the final part of this episode, so people have to stay tuned because we'll come back to that. But I just want to say, actually, right now we're legitimately watching the Atlanta Falcons playing on TV right now. We watched Game 7 of the World Series last night. It's been a very good way to watch the sports. And you, of course, know if we're wearing the Atlanta Braves hat on. And, I mean, how would have you reacted last night if that was the Braves at the 10th innings after a rain delay, Game 7? Do you think you'd still be recovering right now from all the excitement?
You know what? I was biting my nails last night, and I guess Glenn and I were pulling. I think all of us were pulling for the Cubs just because they were kind of the underdogs.
Yeah.
So I ended up biting off my nails, which, of course, I don't usually do that, and it wasn't even the Atlanta Braves. But Glenn and I are definitely expecting the Atlanta Braves to be in it next year because a really good friend of ours, Brian Snicker, is the coach of the Atlanta Braves. He was named the coach. He was the interim coach this summer, was named the full coach, I guess full coach, what do you call that? What do you call that?
Head coach.
Head coach.
Yep.
Brian Snicker. So we're really crossing our fingers that next year they'll be in the World Series. Now that would be incredible. I mean, to have your good friend that would be up there too. I mean, if it's your city, that's one thing that's fantastic. But a friend that's actually coaching them in the World Series, how cool would that be?
Fingers crossed. You heard it here first. Next year, the Braves are doing it. And you heard it here for the very first time.
Right.
Welcome to Virginia. You've been to Virginia?
Virginia's like vagina.
Light vagina, exactly. You might recognise this man from such shows as Survivor Season 3 Africa, Survivor Season 8 All Stars. It's Big Tom
It's me.
Buchanan.
It's me.
I'm in his house. How are you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great.
You're
Good
doing
to have
great.
you.
You're telling lots of stories about Australia and getting nearly hit by cars and hanging with the Supremes. And how long ago was that when you were in Australia?
Too long. I need
Too
to go
long.
back.
Yeah.
So if you'll have me over, see, that way I won't go with the Supremes.
Yeah.
They probably want me to, but I'll just you'll hang.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You can come along and I can show you our farm. Not quite as impressive as this, but but we had you on the show, gosh, 2 or 3 years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but I remember you said to me, please come and check out my farm and all that sort of stuff. Never thought I would ever get the chance, and I'm staying with Tanya, of course. Yeah, Tanya's still here. And she said to me, you come along, we'll go visit Tom. So, and we're going eating. What are we eating tonight? Where are we going?
A kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
Yeah,
Did you eat kangaroo when you were in Australia?
I don't remember. We partied so hard that night. I don't know. I ate something.
You could have.
I hopped all the way to the bar and back.
You could have eaten anything, and you don't even know what the hell.
But now we got beef cattle. We keep about 1,000 beef cattle.
Yep.
And so we're going tonight to see where the beef.
Where's the beef?
Right here's most of the meat. But
Tanya and Tom, come in, because we only saw the back of your heads a second ago when you were in the car. So come into the shot here, because we're going to show up the T-shirts. Tom's given me one of his T-shirts here. Big Tom's tree cutting. Do I have to say that in the Virginia? Big Tom's tree cutting.
Yeah.
Do I fit in?
Hell yeah, that's exactly right.
But we wanted to at least introduce him on the video, because we're going to go eat some beef. And
taters, beef and taters.
Beef and taters, and we're not going to be stupid because we're going to eat.
Yeah.
Eat. All right, that was a terrible accent. I just had to put in a quote there, a Big Tom quote. It was either that or he's a Jew and he can't eat the ham. But I think what was more appropriate with that situation? Anyway, let's go and eat. I'm going to shut up. So, made the travels a little bit further north from Atlanta into the Tri-Cities area in Tennessee, and thrilled to be joined for, I guess, her first time on the Brink. But I mean, Survivor Oz was an arm and umbrella underneath the Brink anyway. From season 5 of Survivor, you might know her from, of course, the wonderful Tanya Vance. Tanya, welcome back to a show that I'm talking from.
Hello.
How's it going? How's it all been treating you this weekend, having to put up with this random Australian staying in your house?
It was very fun. It actually got me out doing stuff all weekend, which was fun, except for today was kind of our lazy day. But got to see Big Tom, who I adore, and Bristol Motor Speedway, the Tennessee Vols. We went and watched Ben's first college football game, football game, period.
Yes.
And they won 55-0, and he looked good in orange, so that's good. That's good.
I've been converted because the funny thing is I generally have a team, I guess, in every of the major league sports here, and I'll go along to other games even if I don't support them, but I'm not one to, I guess, buy merchandise for teams that I don't go for. I don't have a team in college football. I was in Georgia a week ago, you know, when T-Bird and Glenn could have easily converted me to Georgia, didn't even try. So yes, I've rocked up to a Vols game, I've worn orange, and I've got my team, and a decent team, I think, if they can win 55-0.
That's right, and they beat Georgia, her team, so that's maybe she knew better than to convert you.
Yes, exactly. But I've enjoyed my time here. It's a nice area. I've enjoyed Tennessee. So you're born and raised here in Tennessee, of course?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, what is it about the great state of Tennessee that people who are maybe coming to America from Australia, you know, what can they experience in this state?
I would say, first of all, good Southern cooking, which is always good. The mountains, which are beautiful, especially right now. The leaves have kind of started to fall off, but beautiful time of year to come, and the weather's great. And the friendliness. The people here are so friendly. And when I lived in Florida, it's just not the same. And you can get a good glass of sweet tea and some pecan pie and sit on your porch and have a fire, and it's just fun. I mean, it's just a different environment. It's more slow paced.
I've enjoyed it, and I mean, I generally find most Americans friendly everywhere I go, but I mean, Southern hospitality in Georgia, here in Tennessee, it certainly has been very, very nice. And I mean, the atmosphere at the game, just going back to that, like, I think Todd, Tanya's husband, was saying 98,000 people at this game yesterday, and this wasn't even between like one of your rivals, was it? This is just kind of a team that you were, I guess, expected to beat, which you quite clearly did.
Yeah, it was our homecoming game against a small Tennessee Tech. But yeah, when you get into some of the big rivals like Alabama, Georgia, you know, we've got over 100,000 people going. I think it's the 5th largest stadium in the football world, so it's actually more than you get at NFL games. So it's pretty fun.
It's crazy. Speaking of Todd, Tanya's husband has joined us. Say good day to Australia, Todd.
Hello, good day.
Can you give us a shrimp on the Barbie impersonation? You've been doing it all weekend.
Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Sounds very, very Australian. Yes.
Oh, very not.
Very not. What about, can you give us a shrimp on the Barbie?
Oh, no.
No. Your face.
Bloke.
Yes. Yeah. It's been, what has it been, 14 years since you were on Survivor now? It's 2002, was it?
Yes, yeah.
It's crazy to think that. And I guess, I mean, from my perspective, that's where I know you from. I mean, I love your season. It's one of my favourite seasons. Greatest player of all time, won your season, blah, 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 blah.
You FaceTimed him the other night.
I did, yes. Brian Heideck, for those not familiar. But, of course, I mean, you're still so active, I guess, out there in terms of, like, charity events. And, I mean, you know everybody and all that. You go to, obviously, the big one, Give Kids a World down in Florida. I mean, I know I've asked you this question before on Survivor Oz, and people ask you this all the time, but I guess you never could have imagined that after, 14 years later from your time on a reality show where you only, lasted 6 days, that here you are still heavily involved in it. I mean, it still must be surreal sometimes to think that.
It is, and I love the show. I love meeting the different people, and especially when you can give back to the different communities and do different charity work. It's awesome. Like I feel like I'm always helping out with one of the different organizations, different charities, and Survivor allows us to do that. And it's not just Survivor; it's Big Brother, it's Amazing Race, it's The Bachelor. I just think it's great that most of the people involved are giving, and they truly want to come together and contribute to the communities, especially children's organizations and stuff like that.
Now, Todd, did you watch her on Survivor? Were you aware back in the day before you obviously married to her now, but did you see her back in 2002?
Absolutely. I watched just because she's a local girl.
Right. And what did you think of her in the show? I mean, actually, and have you watched it since, like, you guys have been together?
Yeah, we watched the last few seasons.
Have you gone back and watched her season, though, again?
Nah, I just seen it the one time.
Right. Do you own it, Tanya?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should make him watch it. Like you should, you know.
My little cousin watched it, and he did not want to watch it.
Are you scared to watch it? I mean, is that sort of the case? I mean, why haven't you watched it since you've been together?
Well, when she gets voted off, there's no point in watching the rest of it.
That's a good point.
My favorite person got voted off.
Yeah, but how many times do you get to say you can watch someone who's on TV and then, you know, you go to bed with them later on that night?
It's pretty amazing.
Hopefully he only says it one time. One time.
Yeah, he's not like watching all these different shows and all of a sudden he's like, guess what, honey, I'm going to bed with her later on tonight. Was that a good accent compared to his Australian one? Or I'm trying to learn the southern accent.
Try to say, hey, y'all.
Hey y'all.
That's better.
Does that work?
And by the way, Ben bought a cowboy hat today.
Yes, I did. I did bought a hat. Not quite as good. We were looking at those like chimney sweep hats yesterday in Cracker Barrel that we didn't quite buy. We had the mini cowboy hats too, didn't we? Why didn't we buy them?
I do have a picture just for your viewing pleasure.
Yes, I actually haven't seen that picture yet.
It's pretty awful.
You're gonna randomly tag me on that. I'm gonna be leaving here.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Yes. Speaking of ass, we're going to learn about alcohol and ass on this episode at all times. Your favourite song, Tanya?
It is terrible. Don't listen to these boys sing the song.
Yeah, all right. Well, we promise we won't. Well, thank you for joining us. This, of course, just completely random trash. Oh, Todd brought out a proper one here. This is like white and it's very rigid. Is this like made out of, what is it made out of, plastic?
It's not plastic, but it's like a wicker hat.
A wicker hat.
It's an official cowboy hat.
Oh, an official hat. So like this is officially stamped by the Cowboy Association of
Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply. All right, I'll take your word for it. Guys, thank you for joining us on the Brink. Thank you for having me in your house for this weekend. And go Vols!
Yes, go Vols!
Go Vols!
We can sing Rocky Top.
I think that Ben needs to close it out with Rocky Top.
You're gonna have to start me off. I have to remember this.
Rocky Top,
You'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top. Woo! Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Yeah, see, as soon as I started singing it, I went there.
Terrible.
The wool bit's awesome.
Yeah,
But, guys, thank you. Yes, we'll go back to drinking our champagne and not singing. So, gracias.
no
De nada.
alcohol,
Alcohol and ass. So I'm here with Mike Warner. Now you're running here. So tell me exactly what position are you running for? I guess you would say.
I'm running for state representative, and in this case, it's everything is within the city limits of Clarksville.
Okay.
But normally it includes multiple counties, just because of population.
Sure. So in terms of if you get elected, what's your position? What's your title? Basically?
Well, it would be state representative.
State representative.
Right.
So what are you standing for? What are your platforms and policies that you're running for?
Well, I'm running as an independent. I'm on the ballot as an independent. I'm not Democrat and I'm not Republican. I was Republican, but I repented.
Okay then. Is that because of Trump or?
No. That's just 5 years ago.
Right. Okay.
I knew who Trump was then, but he wasn't running.
Right, pre-Trump. Okay. So for Australians, your elections are very different to ours. It's on a Tuesday. We vote on a Saturday, and it's much different. And you don't have to vote, of course. In Australia, we have to vote. Right. So how important is it to you as an American to be able to come out and have your say and be able to have that vote, even though you don't have to vote?
Well, it's critical. I was active in the Army, and one of the things we learned in leadership school is that you can only expect what you inspect. And if the people aren't inspecting the government, then they have the government they deserve.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's not all about just voting. I would like to see people that actually have to investigate the people that are on the ballot. Here they have D for Democrat, R for Republican, and a lot of people just pull the lever for a party, regardless of whatever they're doing to them. They then, I call it brainwashed, but you can call it whatever you want. To signify with one of those two parties.
Right.
I believe that we should be operating under the rule of law, not the rule of whoever happens to be in charge today. And no matter who they are as a leader, they should be responsible for upholding the law and not just pick and choose which laws to enforce. They are enforced against and who they're not enforced against. Making laws that exempt, like the Senate. The U.S. Senate has the ability to do insider trading, but if any of us do it, we get to go to jail. Okay, and that's the beginnings of the very thing that we left when we left the Crown many moons ago. We're actually trying to get back to the thing that we ran away from, and I don't think we're the better for it.
So you're, a lot of that, what you're just saying, you're standing for. So I'm seeing here, seek justice, love mercy, walk humbly. So if I'm going in there and voting for Mike Warren, is that what I'm going to get? If
That's
you get
what
elected?
you're going to get.
That's what I'm going to get. And in terms of the grand scheme of things, Trump, Hillary, how do you think that's going to all play out today?
Well, like I said, I'm an independent. I voted for none of the above. I voted for somebody else.
Yeah.
And Darrell Castle, you can write him in Tennessee. We put in the signatures, and the signatures got invalidated. More than half of them got invalidated. So he's not on the ballot, but he's the only guy who I believe honestly means what he says and says what he means.
Right, okay. How are you feeling? How do you think you're going to go in this? Do you feel confident that you will get elected?
I'm going to win. This is my third shot.
Third shot?
I got 30% in 2014. And things have changed in my favor this year.
Fantastic. Well, best of luck with it. Thank you very much for chatting to me. And thank you for chatting to Australia as well. We've made our way here to Clarksville in Tennessee, which is probably about an hour outside of Nashville, and I'm sitting in the home of a very well-established and local celebrity radio host of Ryan Puckelman, and it is election night right now. Ryan, first of all, welcome to the Brink.
Well, it's good to be on the Brink. I'm excited. This is cool.
You should be excited. We're the number one radio show in all of Australia. I mean, you think you've heard of Hamish and Andy? This is bigger than that. But it's election night right now. We are watching, as of right now, what could be the possibility of Donald Trump being the president of the United States. Did you ever think you would hear those words in your life as an American?
If you would have told me that we'd be on the brink of electing a game show host as the president, I would have told you you're insane. But man, it's a different world. People just seem to be angry about what I don't know. I mean, the economy is turned around, but not apparently for everybody. And he seems to tell people exactly what they want to hear, whether it's true or not. And I don't think people are interested in facts. They're just interested in what they want to be told. And they came out and they voted big numbers for him. And it looks like right now, what time is it? We're at like 9, almost 10 o'clock, and it looks really good, like he's going to win.
And it's crazy as an Australian, I think, as I've told you, our perspective is, how the hell did Donald Trump even get this far? They're not going to elect him. It's all right. Clinton will be president. But this is real right now. This is so real.
I think people are tired of like the same political speech and the same political talk and the politicians' way of doing things. They're tired of that model of a politician. So you've got this guy coming along, and he speaks very plainly, and he speaks, telling people the message that they want to hear. Like, I can fix everything. He's promising everything. And so, can he deliver? Well, who knows? He has no record, and I think that's what makes it easier for someone like him to say whatever, because he has no political record. He can say whatever he wants, and no one can say, well, you didn't really do anything. And so I think the fact, too, that Hillary Clinton's a very unlikable candidate. If you had if Bernie Sanders, let's say he was the nominee for the Democrats, I think Bernie Sanders would have slaughtered Donald Trump. And I don't think it's because Hillary's a woman. I think it's because she's untrustworthy. And the Clintons have always had that kind of tint of untrustworthiness on them. Like if you had another female candidate like Elizabeth Warren, who's a senator out of Massachusetts, I think she would have slaughtered Trump. But because only a very small percentage of people vote in the primaries, we're stuck with two horrible candidates, and now it's the race to the bottom of the barrel.
So I mean, as you kind of said, I mean, people are thinking, he's saying different things. You can't really compare him to political office and things like that. But do you honestly think that if this continues and he wins, I mean, do you honestly think he's going to ban Muslims? Do you think he's going to build a wall? Like, do you think he's going to be outlandish as he's saying he is, or is he doing this to get the votes and he's going to get sworn in and just like, I was only joking about all that?
I don't think he can, and I think he's saying those things because there's a large chunk, and I'm not going to say it's the majority. There's a big chunk of people that aren't interested in reality. And so they're very scared of things. They live their lives in fear. And he's capitalizing on that. The reality is, I mean, the odds of being, attacked by a terrorist and dying in a terrorist attack are slim to none. It's a safer world now than it ever has been. But fear is an emotion that easily controls people. That's why the news always gives you scary teases. They never say like, oh, stick around for the evening news. We're going to tell you a wonderful story about someone donating money to a charity. No, they tell you something in your house could be killing you. Find out what it is, because keeping people scared keeps them coming back for more. It's easy to control scared people.
Those damn media people. Like, seriously, when will they learn, Ryan? This disgusts me. Even in America, it's like the media. Like, what's wrong with them? I mean, sort of, we'll know in this episode, you're listening to it now, you'll know who's obviously won the election. I mean, it's fascinating. But I was just saying to you, scrolling through my Facebook feed, like, everybody's like acting like this is impending Armageddon. Trump's in and trust this guy with the nuclear codes. And it's just, from an outside perspective, again, even myself personally as an Australian, like, how did this happen? But I think you've explained it very well. I mean, we're right now in Tennessee. This is obviously a very Republican state. Yourself, to spoil it for our listeners, I know you didn't vote Republican. No, you didn't vote Democrat either. I mean, this is just got to be probably. Is this the most fascinating election you've ever seen in your entire life?
I would say the most fascinating election, and I'm not terribly old. I'm only 38, but I thought when Obama won the first time around, that was incredible, because I think that opened the door to a whole large percentage of the population to say, yes, you can be president. And he's such a dynamic politician. He's such an incredible speaker. He's so charismatic, and I don't think either one of the candidates we've had this time around are at that level that Obama's at. Now, it would be nice to see Clinton elected, because as the father of daughters, even though I don't particularly trust her and I don't particularly care for her, seeing her elected would be to watch young girls look at the president and see a woman. I think that would be really inspiring and an awesome thing for them to see. It's looking like that's not going to happen right now. They're going to look at their president and see someone who I think views women as property, which is more of the status quo. And that's kind of a sad thing. Really, it is.
So the only positive out of that is future game show hosts will be watching this going, I can do it. I can do it.
Jeff Probst is going right now, I can run. I'm going to run in 2020.
The tribe has spoken, America. I mean, well, as I keep trying to say to people, like, you think it's bad now. In 2020, we could be having Trump versus Kanye West.
Oh, God, that'd be horrible. No, I hope what happens is they look at this election, and legitimate politicians that have some really good ideas and are strong leaders look at things and go, okay, we can't do things like business as usual. We've got the country's changing, so we've got to adapt to that. I think the problem that when Trump was in the primaries, the other candidates didn't know how to react to him, because he'd just say things like, you're an idiot, and they're like, oh, they're so buttoned up politicians. And it took them so long to figure out, how do we deal with this guy? And it was way too late. And so, whoever wins, and it's looking like it's going to be Trump, but again, this podcast could air, and it could be Hillary Clinton, but I'm just telling you what it's looking like now at 10 o'clock on election night, and it looks like it's going to be Donald Trump is going to be the president. But really, I think whoever wins is going to be a one-term president, and we're going to see, hopefully, a better choice next time around.
Just quickly, I believe you interviewed Obama, but a very long time ago, pre-President Obama.
Yeah, I interviewed him when he was running for the U.S. Senate in Illinois, and I remember the interview being like, dang, this guy is on point. Holy cow. I mean, he has a way to connect with people. And I think I don't think Trump connects with people. I think he just gets people pissed off. And if you can get people pissed off, you can get them to go to the ballot box and say, they took our country away and we're going to get it back.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really likes Donald Trump. Would you leave your kids home alone with Donald Trump? You absolutely would not.
No.
And I don't think anybody likes Hillary Clinton. I mean, they're kind of skeezy, like I said. It's kind of got a little, So you've got two people that no one really likes. Where Obama, people like him, and rightfully so, whether you agree with his politics or not. Anyone that says he's not a good candidate, and he's not a good speaker, and he's not a dynamic person, you're a moron. You're letting your politics, shade reality. The fact of the matter is, the guy oozes charisma, and I think it's going to be a long time before we see someone like him in the White House.
Which is a shame. It's a shame to see that. But yes, we're going to keep watching this and see eventually. Again, you're listening to this right now. You know the result. I mean, we might not still have a result by the time this, and we don't know that. But we're watching this with bated breath. Ryan, thank you for your insight in this very fun and interesting and fascinating issue.
Well, hey, no problem, and thanks for being here on my couch. I think we were talking about this the other day, how people think the world is this big scary place, and here you are. We met over the phone, we talked to each other twice over the phone, and then you're like, "Hey, I'm going to go couch surf in America. Has anyone got a couch?" I'm like, "Yeah, come on over." We'd never met before. You've been on. This is the second night you're staying on my couch, and
here we are.
And I think it's a great example of how awesome the world really is, and how wonderful people really are when you get past all the fear and all the the pandering of politicians. You realize that there's a whole lot of good people in the world that just are good people.
And I wasn't afraid to come here, even with Donald Trump perhaps being president. And I've been warned by the Department of Foreign Affairs of Australia to be careful and be ready to leave.
How crazy is that? That's no joke. You were showing me that article about Australia saying, "Hey, get ready to leave in case it gets crazy here." I don't think it's going to get crazy here.
We'll see tomorrow morning when we go to the radio studio. If they're burning it down, the media caused this, the media caused Trump to get in, screw you. We'll find out, I guess, at 3 a.m.
I think it's crazy, though, because you were telling me how wrapped up in American politics Australia is, and how people are following it, and how your local newspaper's covering it. And it makes me feel almost bad because no one in America cares, really, about Australian politics. I think that's sad.
Probably a lot of people in Australia at the moment don't care about Australian politics.
Well, yeah, we were talking earlier, and I was like, okay, who's the Prime Minister of Australia? I'm like, oh, I know it's not Gerard, and I know it's not Tony Abbott. Oh, God, who is it? And that's sad.
Do you remember? I did tell you today. Do you remember his name?
God, I forgot his name already.
Malcolm Turnbull. I'll edit it later. You can say it now.
Malcolm Turnbull.
Oh, you got it. Yeah. Well done. Look at that. That's
an Australian name, Malcolm Turnbull.
Malcolm Turnbull. Yes. Yeah, and you look at him. He's actually very wealthy, very businessy, and very he's not very Australian, but Julia Gillard was very Australian. She sounded like that. But we don't have Barry Jones in just quite yet. You know Barry Jones, don't you?
I do, but I do think that's one of the things that I wish we would do more here. We'd be more involved with and know what's going on and be able to say and have an interest in politics from other parts of the world. Australia is an ally of the United States in a lot of things, and we should know. We should care who the Prime Minister is. Same thing with England. We should know and care who the Prime Minister is. We should know who's running France. We should know, who's in charge of our allies and even countries we're not too fond of. We should have a vested interest. This egocentric attitude that we have in the United States, where we're the only ones that matter, is so stupid. And I wish people would start, winning, or would start, viewing the world as a much bigger place than just the United States of America. I mean, look at Canada. I mean, we have two crap candidates running, and you look at Canada, and they have Justin Trudeau, who is phenomenal. His father was an incredible prime minister who really changed the face of Canada and turned Canada into this place that embraces multiculturalism, this place that respects the First Nations, the place that has incredible health care. People always rip on Canadian health care. The fact of the matter is, they have it.
Mm-hmm. And so do I.
Yeah. So are you constantly standing in line for healthcare services, and are you sick and dying because of government healthcare? No. But yet,
if I trip over and break my leg and they've got it on an ambulance, I get in, get fixed, done, and I don't have to pay a cent for it.
Exactly. Where if that happened here, we'd have insurance companies, and you have to have this, and you have to do this, and it's sad that people look at that like, oh, they got their crappy government health care. Why is it that we think in the United States if you're sick, you're on your own. Shit, you shouldn't have broke your leg.
Yeah.
You bet, and that and it's not that. They rape you on the prices. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at the prices, what it costs for drugs in Australia as opposed to the United States. Same damn thing. Mm-hmm. One's way more expensive.
Yeah.
And why are we okay with that? And you look at I was talking about Canada. Trudeau's dad pointed it in the right direction, and now it's in the right direction again. England, after the Second World War, said, listen, we got to take care of each other. Mm-hmm. And so they established the National Health Service. We're never going to do that.
And it's fascinating because, we get the whole Obamacare system. We see all that, and then even being here in the last few weeks, talking to people about Obamacare and getting a better understanding about it, of how it is and how it's run. And it's when I came here to get travel insurance, I had to pay the same rate as if I was going to an African country, because they look at it and well, you're going to America, mate, you break your leg, you're screwed. So if you're going to Sudan or America, same difference to us. You're going to pay the same, excess and rate and everything along those lines, which it's crazy because, America runs the world, right? And yet, I guess if I break my leg here, I've got to, have a lot of money.
It's this rugged independence, which is silly. And I think we need to have an attitude of we're all in this together. I'd like to think that we would take care of our neighbors, that it wouldn't be, you're on your own, and I'd be glad to pay more money in taxes if I knew that money was going to help those in need, because we have this idea in America that, well, you're lazy, get a job. Mm-hmm. The world's not that simple. It's not just as simple as get a job or get another job. There are people that are working 2 or 3 jobs that don't get health care. Mm-hmm. They can't afford it. And so we got to stop this idea of, get a job, get a better job, because that's based on the idea that there's all these great jobs just sitting there unfilled.
It's not that simple, and then there's a whole other issue, and it's easy to think that, but just quickly, actually, we will say right now, in the space of recording this, Clinton has retaken the lead. She's just won California, but considering that had 55 votes or 55, she's easily going to take the lead there, but we're still glued to this. I wish this was live.
I know it's kind of crazy, and the way I look at it is, tomorrow morning, 50% of the population is going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're going to be sad. And when Obama was elected, I remember people with the conservative Republicans and conservative people being like, oh, it's the end of the world. He's going to take away all of our guns. He's going to, he's going to put us in concentration camps. I remember that. That was true. People thought he was going to put conservatives in concentration camps.
Wow.
And they were scared for that. Like, how would you do that? Everyone who's got a conservative put a C on their arm, and then we'll round you up and take you to Idaho. But you see the same thing here. I think it's easy to overreact, and I think Donald Trump talks a lot and says things that people want to hear, but I don't see him evacuating, massive deportation of illegal immigrants. I don't see him banning all Muslims. I don't see him doing anything he says. He just says whatever he needs to say to get elected.
And it looks like it possibly could be working.
I know.
Which I mean, you're saying, like, as you said, like, hopefully in 4 years' time we get somebody better along, but you just got to hope the opposite doesn't happen, that you have somebody even more outlandish coming along, like, Muslims, Trump said he'd get rid of them, I'm just going to nuke all of Muslim land. Even less educated and all that sort of stuff. So it could go the other way.
It could go way the other way. I don't know how we would find 2 worse candidates than what we have this time. I mean, it really would be hard. I'm trying to think of who could run.
Kanye West.
Kanye West would run, and maybe
Kim Kardashian.
Oh man.
Oh, actually, she'd be the first lady. Oh God.
Have we ever figured out why Kim Kardashian is famous? Have we done the math? Has the research been done?
She had sex on camera. That's like, you would remember. I mean, this just quickly. This is what happens on the Brink. We start talking about the US election, and we get on topic to Kim Kardashian. All right, this is what we do. But I'm sure you remember when Paris Hilton first came out with A Simple Life. Yeah. People were asking the same questions. Why is Paris Hilton? What has she done? I respect Paris Hilton more because she at least went out there and tried to sing. She tried to act. She tried to do a legitimate career, failed miserably, and now she's a DJ. I think she's doing okay. What has Kim Kardashian done? Like, put a name on every product in the history of humankind and had a reality show, which is like, I would rather sit in a room I'd rather put Donald Trump in control of my children than watch the Kardashians. That's how bad I hate that show. But I mean, I don't get it.
I think it's one of those things look at these despicable people and how stupid they are.
And do you think that her whole kidnapping thing in Paris was just a secret thing to get extra ratings?
Yeah, I would not put it past them. I don't want to, because that if that did happen to her, and
horrible,
exactly. I mean, imagine that happening, especially with your kids and all that, and so that's scary to happen. But saying that, it wouldn't shock me if the story
she pulled a Lochte.
Right? Yeah. If that came out, I wouldn't go, "What? I never would have thought she would have done that." I'd be like, "Yeah, kind of figured."
Yeah. Anyway, well, Ryan, look, we've covered it. Anything else you want to talk about while we're here?
How are you liking the United States? How's you liking your trip?
Loving it. I love this country. It's great. We went to Kentucky today, and again, I didn't see any fried chicken, but I just can never generally just drive to another state in 20 minutes. So it's crazy, but no, I'm loving it. It's great. I've never thought in my life I'd come to Tennessee, and here I am. I've been here for close to a week, and I'm loving it.
Well, it's good. Tennessee's a nice state, and it's people in the South are very friendly, and I like that. I like the friendly people here, and there really is some beautiful terrain. You were in Knoxville, and it's gorgeous out there. I mean, we're kind of in the flat part of Tennessee here, but there's some beautiful mountains in Tennessee.
I saw about 5 minutes of Nashville, and that seemed quite nice. I'm going to see more of it obviously later on this week, but. Knoxville, I mean, again, I went to college football, 98,000 people for a school game, and, we'd be lucky to get 9 people.
That's a trip to see, American football with that many people and the excitement of a college game. I had a chance to see, Mexico. The Mexican national soccer team played an exhibition match against New Zealand in Nashville.
Wow.
That was great to be there.
Was that the recent one where I think it was a draw? Was that recently, or was this a long time ago?
It was, the final score I think was 2-1 or something.
Okay.
And it was the stadium was about 40,000 people, and 30,000 of them were of Mexican heritage, and so it was like being at a game in Mexico, and it was so cool to see.
There wouldn't even be 10,000 New Zealanders who know what soccer is. Oh, what's that sport? That's not rugby. But yeah, I would love to go to a soccer game. But yeah, the band wouldn't stop playing during this, and just everything that they're playing, and just the on the field. And I'm of course fixated by cheerleaders because we don't have cheerleaders in Australia, and they're right in front of us. I'm like, hey, cheerleaders, look at them, there they are. And
because 2 guys smashing into each other is not enough, we have to have scantily clad women shaking in front of you to get you entertainment as well. You
guys wearing helmets and padding. I mean, come on, we don't do that in Australia. We're tough. We just hurt each other anyway. But it's crazy. And going to a merchandise store and, this massive shop of just all this Tennessee Evolve stuff. And it's like, this is for basically your school team. The University of Tasmania, I don't own anything that says the University of Tasmania because we have no school pride. And here you are, I'm buying a t-shirt from another university. It's it's crazy. Did you have that at your college? Was yours like that?
Not really. My wife went to a college that was pretty, exciting. The one we have here in town, Austin Peay State University, is awful. They're not bad in basketball, but football, I don't think they've won a game in 4 seasons.
Right, wow.
Yeah, they're really good at losing.
So I could get a gig on the team even. Don't know the rules that well, but, an Australian, you'd probably know how to play rugby. I'm on board. Put the Aussie in there.
You couldn't hurt. It couldn't be any worse, than what we have right now. But, Yeah, but that is fun to see. I actually, I grew up in Wisconsin following the Green Bay Packers, and that is a team that it's like a religion. You know, you live in Wisconsin, you watch the Packers.
They with the cheese on their head, right?
Yeah, the Cheeseheads, yeah. So they're actually coming to Nashville to play the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, and I have tickets. So it'll be my first chance seeing the Packers play in person. So I'm pretty excited about that.
So as a fan, you've never actually seen them play?
Well, no, because, I mean, the tickets for their home games are sold out years in advance, and the waiting list to be on season tickets is like 40 years long.
Wow.
Right, I put in my name now. I'd get tickets when I'm 80.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow. So it's going to be a pretty big deal then come Sunday.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it'd be nice if they win, but if they don't, I mean, just to have the opportunity to take my son, who's a Packers fan, and my dad, who's a Packers fan, to the game. It's just kind of share that together. I would think maybe like a soccer or rugby team, if you're that passionate about it, it'd be that kind of level.
Yeah, we're kind of like an example. Like, I mean, my team in the AFL, Australian football, Carlton, like I've seen plenty of games that, you know, Melbourne's hub of it, but they actually came to Tasmania, because we don't have a team, but we have a couple of teams that come down and play a few home games in Tasmania, and one of the teams, Hawthorn, who play in the north of our state, about a 2-hour drive from where I am, Carlton actually came and played a game there this year. First time they've ever played like a proper full season game in Tasmania. They've played practice games before, but not like a full one, and you know, drove up there. My dad couldn't come with because he's a big Carlton fan, but you know, we're a pretty poor team. Hawthorn, 3-time champions, you know, one of the best teams in the league, and we gave them a run for their money. We got pretty close, and we only lost by like 20 points, which is good for us. So, you know, that's probably a lot in American football, but AFL is pretty close. So, you know, it was decent. So that's what you get when you support a team like mine. You just have hope for a day, and we nearly won.
Well, here's the thing, you know, when I was growing up, the Packers were awful. They were absolutely dreadful, and they just sucked year after year after year after year after year, and then they got kind of good. And there's nothing better than being there through all those bad years, and then when they do get a good year, it's like doubly good, because you're not like a bandwagon jumper, and you're not like, oh, they're good, I'm going to follow them. You're like, I was there when they didn't win a game. You know, I was there when they were just awful, and now they're good. This is great.
It's kind of the opposite for my team, because like we're statistically the most successful team in the history of our competition, and growing up as a young boy, like we were winning all the time. We were always up the top, and I was 8 years old when we won, well, we call it the premiership, so just your version of a championship. And I remember it vividly. Like at the time, it was the most successful season ever. Like we only lost 2 games all year. We were dominant, and it's now been 21 years since we've won one, and like this is the most unsuccessful period in the history of the Carlton Football Club. We were on the bottom of the ladder for most of the 2000s, and now we're back on the bottom of the ladder after a couple of years where we kind of started to go up, and then we've just dropped right back down again. So it's the opposite really for me, that I was used to that success, and now it's like, what's going on? We're losing.
Well, when they do win again, it's going to feel great. Yeah. Because you've been there through all those horrible seasons where you're like, oh, this team is so embarrassing.
Yeah. And I have a very bad track record when it comes to supporting teams. Like our national rugby competition, my team, the Cronulla Sharks, 50 years in the competition, never won a premiership until this year, and I luckily got to go to the championship game. It was all by pure luck that they made it, because I already had my ticket, and they got lucky they made it, and I was there, and they won. First time in 50 years in their history, and it was to be there, and the atmosphere, it was pretty cool. So that one, you know, like, the feeling when you're there and your team wins, and again, as I said, I don't have a lot of luck with my teams in my lifetime winning championships, so when they do, I make the most of it.
Well, you're young, so you got plenty of time for them to get better. You know, there's nothing to worry about. You enjoy that.
I'm not a Cubs fan who had to wait 108 years for, you know, there were people who were like born and died between when they even won. I mean, is there anyone? Of course, there wouldn't be anyone alive since they last won. I mean, only 109-year-olds remembering as a 1-year-old when they won the World Series.
I doubt it, and there's probably one person that's full of shit that's claiming it. Like,
I remember.
I was there. I was a young boy. It's like, no, you weren't.
Yeah.
But there's someone claiming it. You know, and you can't call that person out.
Yeah.
You can't say, come on.
Because they're old. You got to respect.
You got to respect them. So, and I think, you know what? I think I might be that old guy someday. You'd be like, no, I was there when they last won, and no one's going to call you.
I remember when Trump went, oh, don't be stupid.
Right.
You wouldn't remember that.
Right. So, man, who knows? I really thought, Ben, my normal bedtime, because doing a morning radio show, I get up early, is like 7:30, right? And so I really thought I'd be in bed like by 8 or 9, but here it is. It's 10:20, and we still don't have a winner, man.
Well, as I said, you'd be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, still checking your phone. We got a winner yet? We got a winner yet? What's going on? So
I know it's crazy. I'm going to crash on the couch up here with Ben in my living room. It's going to be Ben and I on the couch watching the election.
You will remember this. I remember 2016. I was on the couch with an Australian, and we didn't even know who won.
Oh, it's going to be probably the most memorable election ever, because it's not many elections you can have an Aussie sitting on your couch who I will say, knowing you for all of the 10 minutes before I said come sleep on my couch, I'm glad you're here. It's been great having you here. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, usually on the third night's when I turn crazy and start like
That's why you're sleeping over.
inviting the hookers over and stuff like that, and destroying your kids' future and that sort of stuff. So yeah, you're kicking me out tomorrow night.
Okay, so be honest, how have my kids been?
They've been good. They've been great. I've been surprised incredibly about how much Cohen knows about Survivor, and it's just like literally I'm in the car with because Ryan's wife Caroline picked me up from the airport, the bus
station.
Christina. I want to say Carolina. I'm looking at Carolina and there, Christina. I got the C right. Yeah.
That's all right.
And then on the way back through, Cohen's sort of like talking to me about Survivor, and I'm like, testing my knowledge on everything, and I think even you didn't know he knew that much about Survivor.
I had no idea. Apparently, I know now what he's watching on Hulu.
Yes.
He's watching old episodes of Survivor.
Well, I mean, he could be watching worse shows. I mean, he could be watching The Apprentice with Donald Trump.
Or the Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Yeah.
No, that's just not on. That's just completely not on. But yeah, and I asked him, because Gretchen, you'll meet Gretchen on this podcast, formerly on Survivor, of course. I said to Carl, did you know Gretchen was on Survivor? I was like, yeah, I went back and saw her season, so...
It's funny because he didn't know, and so he's known Gretchen. He's 12 years old. He's known Gretchen for 11 years, and so he just a couple of years ago watched her season, and he didn't know how it turned out. And so when he saw the episode finally when she was voted off, he was mad.
Oh, wow.
Like, Dad, they voted off Gretchen. That happened before you were born.
Yeah. Crazy. And, I mean, did you see Gretchen on Survivor before you knew Gretchen?
True story. When that show was on, when it became kind of a big deal, I was working nights on a radio station in Springfield, Illinois, and I couldn't watch it because I was working nights, right? And so I just kind of for my friends talk about it and all that stuff. And I remember when I interviewed for this job here, the boss said to me, he goes, you ever watch Survivor first season? We got one of the contestants, Gretchen. Most people thought you should have won. I was like, yeah, I watched every episode. I loved her because I wanted the job.
just follow along with it. Well, when I was just staying with Tanya, who was on Survivor, she was like second boot on the 5th season, and we met a couple of people, and she was on Survivor. Oh, how did you go? And I just sort of came and she won a season. Oh, really? And Tanya's like, no, don't be silly. I didn't win. So it's fun to play that up a bit.
It is kind of fun to play it up a bit, but it's one thing that her podcast will be much more listened to than this one, but she looks at it like it's a month of her life, but yet people are still very excited about that 1 month. And think about you do something for 30 days and then it still defines you 12, 13, 14, 15 years later. I mean, it's kind of wild to think that small part of your life will have such a big impact on your life.
Well, I had a person message me today who literally asked, dude, you're with Gretchen, get an autograph for me. And I showed that to Gretchen. She's like, oh, please, my autograph. You don't need my autograph.
Right. And I have nowhere near this status of Gretchen,
Oh, lies. I was with you today all day. People were stopping you in the street. Oh, my God, it's Ryan. We want an autograph.
Like people always say, hey, are you that guy? I'm like, yes, I'm Cohen and Ava and Evelyn's dad.
Yes.
That's who I am. So, but she's cool, and you're gonna like, because her house is very eclectic. You're gonna dig that. You need to do like a visual podcast, like an MTV Cribs of her house, because it's really pretty cool.
I will. Well, I actually went to a thrift store with her today, so
she is a thrifting queen. Ask her on this podcast. Ask her to tell you about the time that she found the bag of teeth. And the Tom of Finland painting.
Wow, okay. Well, I mean, that tells itself in the story. Yeah, that's a whole episode in itself right there. Bag of teeth and the Tom of Finland?
Tom of Finland, who I had no idea who that was. Apparently, he was a big underground gay artist in the 60s and 70s, I think, and his stuff is very rare and very valuable, and she just happened to stumble upon one and had no idea what it was. Ask her that. It'll be a great story for your podcast.
Better than Trump becoming president, like Tom of Finland and Bag of Teeth. I mean,
Right, exactly.
I'm down. Well, I think we're gonna cut this segment right now. Again, this is what happens on the Brink. Like again, Hamish and Andy have got nothing on us because they do these things like staying on topic and talking about the same thing. I mean, you'd know what it all is. Like, oh, let's stay on topic between talk breaks. But it's like, who cares? We started off with the election and we're talking about the Tom of Finland.
I think a normal conversation flows to many different places.
Yes.
And I think the just keeping it on one topic is like, okay, that's being radio-y. Let's just
say 2008.
Yeah, it's not 2008. This is 2016. America's about to elect a game show host as their leader, for Pete's sake. The world is changed.
Very much so. Ryan, thank you. Gracias. It's been fun.
It's a lot of fun, Ben. Thanks for coming to the house, and it's a pleasure being on your podcast.
We're still here in Clarksville in beautiful Tennessee, and of course we've already heard from one half of the dynamic breakfast duo of Ryan and Gretchen in the mornings on Q108. We've heard from Ryan. Now it's time to hear from the wonderful Gretchen Cordy. You might remember her from such a show as Survivor Borneo, but most people here know her from Ryan and Gretchen. First of all, Gretchen, welcome to the Brink.
I never noticed how much you used your hands when you talk.
It's funny, isn't it? Like, whoa, I feel like I'm Italian or something. Like, hey, here's a Gretchen. I don't think I've ever realised how much it is. Thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Now, I mean, how often is it now that you even get introduced as Gretchen from Survivor? I mean, besides Survivor Oz, I guess that's probably been a long time someone's even said that.
Yeah, it's just you now. Yeah. You're the last one.
It's literally now, we've talked about this so much this week. It's always Ryan from Ryan and Gretchen. People who, we're not going to talk about all Survivor here. If you really want to hear about Gretchen's time on the show, Survivor Oz, you can listen to it plugging our own show. 16 years though now, Gretchen. I mean, just touching on it briefly, we were talking about it before, and you kind of had to think, didn't you? Like, wow, how long's it been? That's a lifetime. That's so long ago now.
It's a very long time. And people ask me, like when you do the interview or you ask me questions, and I have to think, like, you know more about it than I do. So I'm like, well, you tell me what happened, because I can't remember.
And we found a YouTube video before of your vote out, which, I mean, is it strange to kind of look back on that now? Because, you've clearly moved on. I mean, it was a great part of your life, of course, but to see that after all these years, is it strange?
It's surreal. No, it was fun to watch, and as like you have a different perspective now. When you're there and it happens, you have one perspective. Watching it air, referring to it later, and now 16 years later, it's a whole different. You see yourself as, it's almost like watching a video of yourself as a kid, opening a Christmas present or something. And you now with your life experience, you're looking at it through different eyes, and that's how I see it now. Yeah.
And it opened big doors for you, of course. I mean, you are the star of radio here in Clarksville with Ryan and Gretchen in the morning. And we were talking about this yesterday when we were at lunch. And, I mean, you never yourself, I guess, thought you'd ever get into radio. I mean, this is something that you were offered. You've done it now for so much time. Are you glad that you've stuck with it this long? I mean, you enjoy it to clearly have stayed with it for this amount of time.
Yeah, it's not something I ever envisioned myself doing, but I'm not one to ever say no to an offer. So when they said, you want to try it out? Yes. And then 15 years. So, yeah, I enjoy it. The hours are kind of, but then you get off, you have the whole rest of the day, and like yourself, it's an unusual job, but it's a fun job. Yeah.
The clear difference, though, is that, I mean, you're going to bed at like 7:38. I mean, I still went to bed last night at like 11:30, 12, and I was up at 3. I mean, I don't think you can handle the 3-hour sleep pattern.
No, if I have to do that, and once in a while something will come up where you have to stay up late at night, I find that the next day half my brain is gone. And so not only is it gone for me, it's gone for everybody that's listening as well. Yeah.
I mean, there was that little event this week about somebody getting elected. We don't need to go into that. I mean, we talked over that with Ryan. And weekends, even then you don't stay up that late. Like, I mean, do you add an extra hour at least to your bedtime? Like, hey, 9 o'clock on a Saturday, I can stay up a little bit bit later.
No, I add an extra hour to the sleep in.
Right.
That's where the extra hour comes in. No, because I find that you pretty much have to stay on schedule because you can't go party at night on a Saturday night and then recuperate in time for Monday morning to be on, you know.
Have you found sort of with your time on the radio in kind of how it's developed? I mean, you've been with Ryan for pretty much that whole time, haven't you, that you've been doing that? I mean, do you find yourself, because I mean, you've had various careers over the years that looking back on it, you wish maybe this is something you could go and experience in other places, or is Clarksville the perfect place for you to do this and you wouldn't really want to spread your roots out into other areas to do what you're doing?
I don't know. I mean, my kids are just now at the point where, you know, my son's in the military and my daughter just got married. And so, you know, I kind of, after being in the military for so long, kind of owed it to them to have a stable place. And this made it possible. And it was really nice to have that. You know, from here, where to go, I don't know. But so far, so good.
And I guess you never imagined you'd be doing it for this long as well.
I didn't. Because every job before then, you know, because I'm always moving, had been a short thing. And so this is the longest job I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Clarksville, it's a nice place. I really do enjoy it here. I mean, for people listening, I think I mentioned with Ryan, it's about an hour outside of Nashville. You know, it's a small place, but it's just kind of like a Hobart, you know, in a way. Do you find that, given that it's a smaller community with your listeners, that you feel closer to your listeners? Because I guess if you were in Nashville, you know, there's a city of, I'm guessing, couple of million people, that there's more options in a way, but I guess because there's so much more people, it's harder to connect, but you're in a smaller community. Do you find that when you get to meet the listeners and everything like that?
One thing I remember about when they gave you the initial, it was like a questionnaire for Survivor, and I think this was like at the final drawdown or something, and you were supposed to, it told a lot about yourself. And then one of the questions they asked was like, if you could hold political office, would you be like president? Would you be senator? Would you be, you know, mayor? The final one was mayor. And I chose mayor, and you had to put down why. And I said, because it'd be nice to be in touch with the people that you were representing so that you could do a good job with it, know what they needed, know what holes needed to be filled. And I kind of feel that way here too. So I know it's nice to be local, and if there's a problem in town, you can address that problem in town. And I think that would get lost with a bigger market. I don't know, because I've never worked in a bigger market, but I do. I enjoy it. I do, you know, being able to have a problem be brought to us. Maybe someone needs a wheelchair ramp, or, you know, and then being able to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the kind of thing that gets lost in larger markets, is those small touches with the community. Yeah.
I believe that's how Donald Trump got elected when he was on The Apprentice. Mark Burnett had the same form. What would you like? President, so they've kept that aside, you know. So you might get to be mayor of Clarksville based on that.
Well, stranger things have happened.
Yeah. We can say that. We can say that now, can't we? Because I mean, just really quickly, I guess when we were talking to Ryan, we recorded that when it was sort of halfway. We were saying, oh, it looks like we could have a Trump as president. And I guess, experiencing what I've experienced the last couple of days, everyone's just in shock. Like, how did this happen? And I mean, you're not a Trump supporter. You're one of those people like, how did this happen? When do you think Americans are going to be like, I guess they're trying to do that now, like, Donald Trump is our president? Like, is it going to be when he puts the wall up or something like that? Like, how the hell did we make this happen?
I think he's a lot smarter than that. I really do. I think, you know, he's shocked us many times to this point, and I have a kind of a feeling that he's going to want to do a good job, and that's my hope, is that when he gets there, I mean, like, I was a Bernie Sanders fan. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, but that time has passed, and I think there's one thing you can say about America, is that it's extremely resilient, mm-hmm. and it's people with kind of a can-do attitude, and I know that. You know, overseas they look at us, but we're kind of those people that stumble and we get back up on our feet, and that's not always the case with countries. You see people stumble and it takes them a long time, but I don't know, maybe because the type of people that came here in the first place were the type of people that thought, like, well, you know, to hell with it. We're going to have hardships, and we're going to climb mountains, and we're going to get to the West Coast, and we'll make it work. And I think that's what we've always done, is we make it work.
And one thing I'll say, this morning I had the honour of going to a middle school assembly to do with Veterans Day, and
you know, there's even, like, I've been to big events in America, there's pomp and pageantry, like, you know, America, we're great. And, like, even in the school, like, these are like years 6s to 8s, like young teenagers, essentially, or older children, and you've got the national anthem, you've got the Pledge of Allegiance, you've got, you know, songs and the military people there showing that everyone's so passionate and proud, and it's just brought in. Like, Australia, we don't have that. Like, it's just like, you know, we're Australia, whatever, crikey, we've got dangerous animals. And that's what I love about America, and that's what you're saying about, like, we're resilient. Like, to me, it's a strange thing. Donald Trump is president, but I agree with you. I think from an outsider's perspective, I think, and as Australians saying, she'll be right, mate, like, you'll do well.
I think, and when you see the discourse that happened over the last year and a half, basically, and people look from the outside, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like your family, and my brother and I can have a horrible drag down fight. But don't you say anything about my brother, you know, because when it comes down to it, we love each other. We'll fight for each other. But we have all very strong opinions about things, which I think is one of the things that makes us great. Sometimes it gets a little out of hand, like it did. But this morning, I printed out an article. I was going to talk about it on the air, and we just never got around to it. And the reason I printed it out was because I think it was about... it was some place in Canada, or it was Iceland or something, and they was like, come here, you know, if you stay here for 5 years, you can keep the piece of land that we give you. And it was like, all this, we have a job for you. So it was almost like, as long as you don't have a criminal record, we welcome you. And it was a beautiful, beautiful island. And it would be some place that I would want to live, you know? And so I printed it out thinking, I'm going to read about this. And all of a sudden I got very sad thinking, like, why would I would be there and I would look at America and think about America just like you're going off to college and your family's at home and you can't wait to get home for Thanksgiving, you know? And I think people miss that from looking outside in. You miss that whole, that when it comes down to it, we're family. And the person that you interviewed outside the voting booth, you know, we might not look like brother and sister, we might not act like brother and sister, but I will defend him to the end. Yeah. You know, if I needed to re-enlist in the military for his rights, I would do that.
And I guess I get that too. Like, I'm proud to be Australian. Of course I want to live in America. I want to go outside and this, but I don't think I would ever want to become a citizen of another, like maybe a dual citizen of a country, but I'm too proud to be Australian to ever just like, Australia, go away. Like, I would always want to retain that. So I wish Australians were more like that. We showed pride in the way that Americans are. Because, I mean, a lot of Australians are like, Americans, they're arrogant, they're so up themselves. I don't see it that way. I see it as pride in your country, and to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
I think you have to have pride in your country. Yeah. You know, you have to think the best of it. And I think if you think the best of it, you'll get the best out of it. So, yeah, you have to be proud to be Australian. Be proud to be Australian. Absolutely. You got the great accent. And
Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman's your go-to, isn't he? He's your go-to.
Yes, he's the one sort of, you know, since, I guess, Steve Irwin sadly passed away 10 years ago, he's probably the one celebrity that everyone in Australia is like, yeah, Hugh Jackman. Whereas, you know, people still hate Russell Crowe. Even Nicole Kidman, people are like, Nicole Kidman. Like, Kate Blanchett has people who don't really like her, and I can name every Australian. I mean, Chris Hemsworth, I guess, you know, I mean, he's Thor, he's hot, whatever, but he's related to, I mean, no one knows who Liam Hemsworth is. It's strange, but yeah, Hugh Jackman, if he ran for Prime Minister, he could be like, I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to deport the Muslims, and people are like, Hugh, we love you, do it, I don't care.
I just hope that one day he doesn't come out to be like a child predator or something.
Yeah, well, exactly.
You'll be crushed.
Well, we had this very famous Australian like singer called Rolf Harris. He was just this old sort of, he was like your jokey uncle, you know. He had little songs that were silly, and he was a painter. He painted the portrait of the Queen. The Queen personally invited him, and a couple of years ago found out that he might have got a bit inappropriate with younger girls over the years, and he's in jail now, and that went like that. Like, it's so interesting how, I mean, clearly there's a reason why, like, all of a sudden Australia turns again. I'd be a bit worried if all of a sudden Australia's like, so we filled up a few girls, who cares? Like, but it's interesting, like,
I don't want to think about that about Hugh, Gretchen. Don't make me think those thoughts. Poor Hugh. Who is America's, like, who is the one I think we kind of talked about some about, like, Justin Timberlake. Everyone loves Justin Timberlake, but is there one quintessential American that everybody loves no matter what?
No.
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 Even Justin Timberlake?
No.
Wow.
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so.
That's crazy. I guess, you guys have a lot more people and all that sort of stuff, but, it's definitely not it's not Donald Trump. It's not Kanye West. It's, I'm trying to think of people like that, like Bruce Springsteen, isn't he like America?
I think we have this thing, and maybe, everybody does, where we root for the underdog. Mm-hmm. We want people to be, the success story and stuff. And then when they are, we're like, we're done with you. We move on to somebody else.
And if they do something bad, it's like, we'll kick them while they're down. And then, they're coming back again. Like, I guess like Britney Spears. Like, she's sweet, America's sweetheart. And, she's shaving her head. And, this is it. Let's watch the train wreck. And, she's back again. Like, it's strange, isn't it?
I think, we want them to be at the top of their game, mm-hmm. But we want to root for those people who are on their way up. And then there's something like we'll pick a little harder if you're, we expect more if you're at the top of your game than if you're on your way up. And so when Britney came back down again and then was having a nervous breakdown or whatever was going on, then you want her to do well again. Mm-hmm. Then you're for her again. Then she's back up at the top of her game. She's like, she looks like she put on a couple pounds. It's time to pick again.
Yeah. We'll think of a America Hugh Jackman, but Hugh, just don't change you. Please don't find out that you've done those things. Like, we don't want that. Gretchen, it's been so much fun staying here. I appreciate it. And coming to the radio with you guys every morning, you've kind of said to me, like, well, you don't have to come in, Ben. You can sleep in. And I'm like, well, no, I miss it. I want to come in. I love it. It's so much fun. So thank you.
I want to tell you, too, that those, the day of the election and the 2 days following the election, it was so nice having you in because we could talk about elections in Australia. We didn't have to.
If it wasn't Trump Central, you didn't have to talk about it.
We didn't. Yeah, we could talk about it kind of in a roundabout way without hitting the feelings that people were having that day, and you could kind of express that, and that made it very much easier for us. So I appreciate it a lot.
As you would say over here, you're welcome. So thank you, Gretchen.
You're not rude at all.
Welcome to New York City. We have just landed and we are in a lift heading off to Manhattan, and I would like you to meet Alicia, my new friend from Nashville, originally from Texas, and a singer. I've got a copy of your CD, so as I said, when you make it really big and famous, I'm going to, I would say sell it on eBay, but, I don't think I do. So you're here for an award show.
Yes.
So you've been nominated for an Independent Music Award, am I right?
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't believe it.
Now, what do you think your chances are of winning? You don't know?
I don't know. We'll see.
And do you know who you're up against? Like, have you seen other people?
I've checked out some of the other artists that were nominated, and everybody sounds great. So.
Are they from other parts
of
the...
From all over the
Right,
United States,
okay. So you kind of do pop music? Is that how you describe it? I mean, what would you describe your sound?
It's pop.
Just pop?
Just pop music. Some people describe it as like a little bit of Mariah Carey. You can definitely tell who my
your influences are. Do you like to say who your influences are, or do you kind of like to? I don't,
because I have such an array. Like Melissa Etheridge is an influence. Celine Dion's an influence. I grew up listening to country. So it's
like a blender. You just put everything in there,
and it's a melting pot of all my influences.
Right.
Really.
Okay then.
And of course I love Mariah Carey, but I don't sound like Mariah Carey.
Well, you could always.
But it's definitely. It was a compliment when someone said that.
Well, it's always good. Like you always want to hear those sort of things, so that works out. Well, we'll be seeing big things from her in the future, and we've randomly met on a plane, and
now we're taking an Uber together.
Now we're taking an Uber together. A lift. Yes. We don't want to offend. So, welcome to New York, and thank you, Alicia, for being here, and good luck tomorrow night. I'm sure you will win. I'm saying it right now, you will win. Guaranteed. Still at the Jets game. It is just after half-time, third quarter. Jets are leading 6-3. You might recognise this man from such shows as the Van Diemen's League. I was trying to go somewhere with that. It's Marcus. How you doing, Marcus?
Well, thanks, Ben. How are you?
I'm fine. You've got yourself a complete American combo there of hot dog, fries, chicken, Pepsi.
Crispy fries.
Do you feel very American right now doing this at the football?
I do. Just after the pledge.
Just after the pledge?
Just after taking the pledge.
Yes, we're sworn again Americans. Does that make sense?
I think we actually joined the army by accident.
Yeah, we're being stationed tomorrow, I believe.
Fantastic.
Yeah, why not? You know, they love it over here, and they just say, "Oh, Australians, we're going to send you away."
Yeah.
So, are you enjoying your first taste of American football?
It's been excellent so far.
Yes.
While I try to keep up.
Yes, we are fully understanding the game. They throw the ball, they catch it, and we just cheer when the crowd cheers.
Yeah, exactly. It's like sheep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, something's going on.
Yep.
And you've been in New York for like a week and a bit, and you
yes.
go back tomorrow.
I do.
And your first time overseas.
Yes.
And then you're going to come back again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I don't want to leave. Yeah,
You don't?
Great.
Yeah. We won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You went in the army now, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway.
Not paid for my college.
Yep. Exactly. You get lots of stuff apparently, and
dental.
Then you live under a president that no one wanted.
Exactly. Can't wait.
Well, yeah. Anyway, that's what we do. They talk over us. We're going to talk if we're going to stand up, but we're not going to do that.
Make some noise.
Woo! Jets! All right. Thank you, Marcus, for joining us, and go Jets. We found somebody you might be familiar with here in New York. It's the one, the only Mr. Billy Garcia. Hashtag bring back Billy. I've always got to advertise it.
Oh, thank you. And in case some people forgot, I am the herpes of Survivor.
Exactly. But I couldn't come all the way to New York City without meeting you, and this is literally like a 2-minute meeting, because we originally planned to go grab a slice.
Yep.
We were going to chill, we were going to have a drink, but I was at the taping of Stephen Colbert, which went over, and you're about to see a movie in about 5 minutes, and I'm going to a Knicks game, so...
Yeah, so hopefully we'll catch up during the week.
We'll see how we go. So, but thank you for at least coming here to drop this off. And what are you seeing? What movie are you seeing?
I'm seeing a special showing of Doctor Who. So,
as in like the new one, or is this like an old one, or what?
This is they found the audio to one of the lost episodes and stuff.
Oh.
They took the audio and added animation to it.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't want to hold you up because that sounds a lot fancier than saying a Knicks game. So I'm going to go to Madison Square Garden. You're going to go watch this, and it's good to do this in person, mate. The herpes of Survivor and Survivor Oz. And again, we'll say it. Hashtag bring back Billy.
All right.
Such a fun episode to bring you. It may have been a couple of weeks, but obviously you could tell there was a little bit of content to cover there, including a very interesting little interview there with a couple of people in regards to the election, which has been very interesting over here in the USA. I'm sure we'll cover that a little bit more in the coming episodes. Right now, though, is that time of the show where I close it out by telling you to keep listening. You can subscribe via iTunes. Easiest way to do it, just search for The Brink in the iTunes store. If you do not have iTunes and you use another service, head to our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Brink Radio Show. You can find our link that will allow you to subscribe via our other service, our RSS feed. Thanks to the good folk over at Wooshka for providing us with a server to provide this content with you on, and you can take the relevant steps there to subscribe to our feed, our Facebook page that I did just mention. Remember to like that to stay up to date with things, and we'll also hopefully be having some videos that will be coming soon as well, just a few little highlights over the last couple of weeks that you've missed us, really, of what we've been up to. Heading to Canada now for a week, and then we're back here into the US, so hopefully it won't be as long between drinks for these episodes, but again, stay tuned and you'll see what comes your way through your speakers. Always a pleasure having your company wherever you are listening to us in the world. Drop us a message on the Facebook page, let us know where you're listening from. You can, of course, subscribe on iTunes. When you do that, of course, you can leave us a rating and feedback there as well. We're always open to hear where you are listening from and what made you listen to us, because maybe you've got a gun to your head or something and somebody's telling you to listen to us, which is sad, but hey, at least you're listening to us. But until we next speak again, my name is Ben. Keep sucking those oranges, Hobart, and good night.